All right, I am not gonna do the full intro, I just wanna be able to go live and talk to you guys about this. I am doing a little bit of a review, of the Michael movie. So, my husband and I and our little 13-year-old granddaughter went to see the Michael movie on Friday on its release date. I was super excited to go. First of all, I don't get to go to very many movies, so that's one thing that doesn't happen very often. We don't go to very many movies. I don't like spending money to go out to a movie when I can probably stream it live most of the time at home. So, I don't like, but when I found out that this movie was coming out, there was so much hoopla about the movie that I felt like, we could spend a little bit of money and go to a movie. And besides that, what's it cost now to go to a movie? Like $7.99 or something like that if you go to one of the littler theaters, no, don't go to one of the bigger theaters. So I'll tell you this much. We went, we had dinner, and then we went to the movie, and I annoyed my granddaughter to death because I grew up with Michael Jackson. He was born just a few years before I was, a couple of years before I was. And I loved and adored all of his music most of his life until the 90s. I really loved pretty much everything he did. Michael Jackson is the reason I learned how to do the robot when I was 10 years old. Michael Jackson is the reason I learned how to ad lib when I sing. Michael Jackson was the reason that we danced the way that we danced, and we enjoyed long disco songs. Michael Jackson was the reason for all of that. He was a huge part of my childhood. And to be honest with you, I wasn't entirely sure. I wasn't entirely sure. He was kind of he was an idol, I'll just be really honest with you. For those of us that were growing up in the late 70s and early 80s, mid 70s and 80s, Michael Jackson was an idol. He literally was an idol. We didn't, for the if you weren't in church and didn't know the difference, he was your God. That was the truth. That's just being honest. And, when I went to the movie, I didn't know what to expect. I had heard really positive things about his nephew Jafar playing him in the movie, which was exciting. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm very surprised at what I saw, during, uh I was very surprised at the performance that Jafar Jackson did. He was amazing. He was Michael. He was he was his voice, he was his appearance, he was his quiet demeanor. He was Michael. He was Michael. And so I don't know, maybe nobody will nominate the movie because of the nature of the content, but Jafar Jackson deserves an Academy Award for playing his Uncle Michael. He really does. For those of us who never could afford to go to a Michael Jackson concert, and to be quite honest with you, there weren't a whole lot of them. There weren't a whole lot of concerts in Kansas with the Jackson 5 or with Michael. There just weren't. So we didn't get to go, I live in Kansas. We didn't get to go to those concerts. So the last probably 30 minutes of the movie is basically concert by Jafar playing Michael, and he did an amazing, amazing performing job. He really did. Couple of things I noticed, observations about the movie. First of all, Joe Jackson is played in a pretty bad light. He's not played in a very good light. He is abusive. The character of Joe is very abusive, which Michael claimed he was abusive. He obviously had the family's interest at heart without giving any kind of consideration to the fact that Michael was probably the most creative of the brothers that we know of, that I can see, based on, Jermaine was talented, but haven't seen we didn't see a whole lot from Jermaine in contrast to what Michael did. And he was just uber talented. There was no way to, you could not compete. There was just no way to compete. Although I love Jermaine, don't misunderstand me. Michael was it. And so, in the movie, it's quite obvious that Joe is threatened by the fact that Michael's gonna go and create on his own. So that's one observation. He was not Joe Jackson was not portrayed as a very positive character. I haven't heard a whole lot from the family saying that it wasn't accurate. It seems to have been pretty accurate, but it was not, so I wasn't really surprised by that. A couple of other observations. It is evident in the film, and I'm not gonna give you a whole bunch of spoilers about this. I want you to go and see it if you wanna go see it. Um, it was obvious that Michael struggled with a whole lot of self-worth issues, and he struggled with his own idea of value, what he was worth, how worthy he was of affection and love and all the accolades and stuff that he was getting all of his life. He was definitely having some mental issues about that. It was based on the film. And according to the brothers and and Latoya, so far what I've heard, this is pretty accurate. They believe that this movie portrays him really well. Now maybe they're just supporting the nephew Jafar. I don't know, but they have not said that this is all a bunch of junk and that none of that happened. They're pretty supportive of this portrayal of Michael, which would seem to indicate that he had some mental health issues going on because of being secluded as a child. And they do show you pretty much it was all work and no play for Michael and the rest of the brothers. So I don't know how, I guess, that coupled with the amazing amount of extreme success that Michael had as a performer, that he had as his own producer in some cases, even as a filmmaker, because they didn't even show Michael Jackson videos on MTV. And guys, for those of you that are too young to know this, when MTV was created, it was only for videos of musicians playing music. It was not reality TV. It was not a bunch of live concerts. That's not what MTV was created. It was created to be radio on television. That's what MTV was created for. And so in the beginning, um, any kind of rhythm and blue R&B or soul music videos were not played in the beginning, and here are the reasons why. And they didn't touch on that. They talked a little bit about this. Michael and his promoter had to force the issue and threaten CBS to make sure his videos would get played on MTV. And they do share a little bit about that in the movie. But one of the reasons why was because there were all these broad assumptions about who could afford cable, because MTV was a cable station, and so it catered to middle class, upper class white people in the US. And so they didn't play a lot of R&B. Like, we didn't listen to all kinds of music. It was pretty ignorant, if you ask me. And so they had to push the issue. Michael Jackson's videos, Billie Jean, Beat It, Thriller, those were really those really broke the barrier for African American artists to be seen on um oh, that's why. There you go. That's why. Thanks, Charity, for sharing that the brothers were all producers of the film. So I think that would speak to their accuracy. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So anyway, all of that to say, he did break barriers. Michael Jackson did break barriers. His family, those they were like the first boy band. Between them and the Osmonds, they basically came out about the same time. These were the first boy banders, and they were we. So anyway, here's my thing. Here are a couple of observations about myself, not just about the movie, but about myself. Okay, so I talked to you about him being breaking ground. I talked to you about obviously it was apparent there was a good chance. Prince Jackson also produced. That is interesting. There's a good chance that he had some mental health issues because the brothers, because it obviously is shown that way in the movie. It's why he had to have so many pets. Those were his friends. It's why he had to have. That's why he always told his fans he loved them, because in his mind they were his family. He'd been in front of people on stage from the time he was 5, and so that was his family. And so there was obviously some stuff going on there mentally. A couple of things that I noticed, and I was very surprised by, just regarding myself. I cried when I watched him get injured during the Pepsi commercial. fiasco and all the third-degree burns that happened to him, listen, we don't know how close to him dying he was. We almost lost him, and I didn't realize how severe that was because by the time that happened, I was an adult and I was married. And I wasn't listening to, I wasn't listening to a lot of pop or rock music back then. I was in a band, toward the late '80s, but I wasn't listening to videos and following his career so much. But when he went to do the live performance video that he was trying to do for Pepsi, um, he was badly injured, and I didn't realize that. And listen, I was brokenhearted when I realized how 2 things. Number 1, how injured he was and how much pain he was in, and number 2, this is what began his significant health downfall. This is what led to his death, in my humble and nobody wants my opinion. Um, uh, he actually began to take pain pills because of this accident, and I believe it led to, him dying. I think that the pain and being reliant upon the painkillers and then getting to the place where he could not sleep because of the stress of what was happening to him, as he got older, and all the stuff that went down from between '93 and 2003 with the court cases and all that, which he was completely exonerated for. In the first court case, I will tell you, and they don't talk a lot about this, but it does come up. It's come up in other biopics or documentaries. He gave a settlement to the family that was trying to get him prosecuted in 1993, and the reason was this: the judge decided to try the civil case first because he knew there was not enough physical proof of what he was being charged with. So he decided to do the civil case, and when that was determined, Michael's attorneys, which I think to his detriment, I don't think they were really great attorneys, but they decided he needed to offer a settlement to this family to keep it out of court, whether it was civil or criminal, and then the charges, then that was it. Because there was a settlement in the civil case, there would be no criminal case. And then, and of course, that came out in a different documentary. But I think that and he lost so much money, you guys, millions of dollars he spent hiring attorneys in the '90s, between '93 and 2003. No, he was just in a lot of pain, from the time he had those burns on his scalp to the time he died. So everyone's missing something with Michael Jackson and the kids. Benny Hill's Little Angels, Jackson, I don't, um, he told Benny in the hospital he watched his show every day. Oh, so nothing came up about the Benny Hill. I didn't know that. I know Benny Hill was in the hospital with you. So they didn't discuss that in the movie. There are a couple other things. Maybe he watched a lot of TV. I didn't realize he was an avid movie watcher. That's the reason he was so stimulated to dance like Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly and all of those great dancers in those old movies. That's where he was inspired with his dancing. He admitted that he would dance even if there was no performance or practice. He'd be at home in the evening dancing. So the observations about myself. Number 1, I already said this, but I'll say it again. I did cry when I realized how much pain he was in, and I realized that having to take that Demerol for pain was probably the beginning of his physical downfall, I believe that led to his death. He was just in so much pain, and we didn't know that. I didn't know that. Maybe other people realized. I didn't realize how much pain he was in because by then I wasn't following him as much. And the other thing I noticed about myself going to see this movie, I really loved him. And, my granddaughter was with us, and she was embarrassed by me because every time the music would change, I knew all the words. I knew all the words, and I fully enjoyed every single minute of the performances that were there. Some in studio that Jafar emulated in studio, and some that were on stage, from the little kid phase to the, late 20s phase. I loved every performance, and there were people in our theater who got up and danced. They got up and danced. They had such a good time. They really enjoyed it, right? So and I've been seeing clips on Facebook of and reels from other theaters where people are having trouble staying in their seats. That's power. That's incredible power to be able to tell people, "Get up," without even saying, "Get up," and people wanna dance to your music. So, anyway, I just wanted to share with you guys, if you are, a Michael Jackson fan, you might be surprised how you respond during the movie. I was very surprised that I was crying. Wasn't expecting that. Wasn't expecting to have such an urge to get up and move and dance to so much of the music that they share in the movie. I was, I was surprised that they played some of the mental health issues in the movie. I was very surprised by that. I kind of figured they'd make him out to be a big hero, and to an extent they do, but it's quite obvious that he struggled, and they didn't leave any of that. They don't leave that out. It doesn't There is some indication at the end of the movie that there will be another. There is a little kind of a teaser that just talks about, his legacy continues. So, it was his oh, I don't know. Buddy Holly story is really good. I don't know. That was a really good movie. But Buddy Holly was a young performer for me. So I would not have been I was far more interested in the movie, the Michael Jackson movie, because I had so much life with Michael. And I think it's hard for my granddaughter to understand how much we loved him, how much we loved the Jacksons and what they did for music. She didn't get it. She didn't understand why I cried. She didn't understand why I wanted to dance. She didn't understand why. I mean, I'm 61 years old. I'm supposed to be an old grandma. She was not excited that I was so excited about the movie. So I probably irritated her, but I do believe it is worth seeing. And I don't say that about a lot of movies. I just tell people, "Oh, just wait till it comes on, you can stream it. Just wait for it." But it was really good on the big screen. They explain a lot of things that I had not considered because, we were kind of left out of what was going on in his real life. And so it was worth it. So, all that to say, don't forget to tune into my podcast. The Christian Drama Queens podcast is the Diary of a Discarded Daughter on most podcast servers. And you can go to Amazon and find my books. Just look up my name, Lisa Schaefer, Schafer, or shoot me an email, Lisa at ChristianDramaQueen.com. And thanks for being here, guys. I love you.